Following the edge of the ladle, approximately 5 times its length, you reach the prominent North Star. It is definitely not the brightest star in the sky, but the only one that is always in the same place. It marks the celestial pole, and all other stars rotate around it.
So if the North Star is in the north, then we can easily determine south as the direct opposite direction, and east and west fall into place as well. The darker it is, the more stars you can see. Or should we say, more points of light. After all, not everything that we see in the sky is a star. The planets are also waiting for us to be discovered. Stars and planets are very different. The most noticeable difference is that stars produce their own energy and light up themselves, while planets receive their light from the sun. That is the only way we can see them. But which points of light are stars and which are planets?
If we keep it to ourselves, I can show you which light points are stars and which are the planets. Being a ghost does have its advantages. If we make the stars invisible for a moment, only the planets remain, and the moon. It also does not emit light, but simply reflects sunlight. If we now, on the other hand, turn on the stars and switch off the sun, the planets and moon are dark. No sunlight, no planets in the sky.
Sun, moon, and stars. In all cultures, the night sky was, and still is, a colorful screen for the human fantasy. Stars were clustered together in groups and images. Over the course of time, this canvas of stars served as a calendar, as a stage for heroes, as a prison for villains, and also as the home to animals and objects. The night sky today is broken down into 88 constellations. Take a look around. How many do you know? How many can you find? Many, such as the Big Dipper, can be seen year-round, while many can only be seen at certain times of the year. The star of the winter, for example, is the great hunter Orion. It consists of many bright stars and is easy to find. Its brightest star is Rigel. Although it is very far away, its incredible luminance makes it very bright in the sky. Not as bright, but still easy to see, are the 3 stars in Orion's belt. With a pair of binoculars or a telescope, it is easy to observe the Orion Nebula. The world's most powerful telescopes make breathtaking details visible.
But we could not even dare to dream of such amazing images.
A breathtaking gas nebula. And we have recently discovered that the Orion Nebula is the birthplace of new stars. New planet systems are probably developing here as we speak. Its diameter is enormous. If the Earth were there, it would not even show up as a small dot. A venture into the night sky is worth seeing. The constellations, however, are only created and only exist in your imagination. Let's go back to the 7 stars in the Big Dipper. You can still find them, can't you? They all seem to have the same brightness, and therefore it would be easy to believe that they are all about the same distance from the Earth. The truth is much different. The constellations are only the product of the perspective. You can only see Orion or the Big Dipper from the Earth. If our planet circled another faraway star instead of the Sun, we would see completely different constellations.
I don't want to boast, but I can demonstrate that quite clearly. Being a ghost does have its advantages.
Oh, please, be my guest.
Let me take you on a trip that no one has ever been on before. Let us fly once around the Big Dipper. You can see how quickly the constellation becomes distorted and unrecognizable. We are now hundreds of light years away, distances that no one has ever before traveled, and perhaps never will again. We see that the Big Dipper really only exists in our little corner of the universe. However, to see the distortion of the constellation, you really have to travel a great distance. The Big Dipper would look the same from every other planet in our solar system, as it does from the Earth.
A breathtaking journey. And that was only a trip around our immediate neighborhood. All the stars that we can see in the sky are very close, in astronomical terms. Even the stars in the Big Dipper or Orion. And of course, all the stars that make up the popular constellations of the zodiac. Everyone is familiar with Leo, Aries, or Virgo.
Even if not everyone can find these constellations in the sky.
It isn't even that difficult. All constellations in the zodiac can be found along the ecliptic. The ecliptic is the apparent path of the sun over the course of the year. If you are looking for the constellations of the zodiac, you should look towards the south, southeast, and southwest. During the year, the sun appears to move along the ecliptic. And something else can be noticed. The planets always remain close to the ecliptic. And as already suspected, the ecliptic represents the inclination of our solar system. The orbits of the 8 other planets are in the direct vicinity of the ecliptic. If we leave the Earth, we can also see that the orbit of our home planet also lies in the solar system plane. The ribbon of zodiac constellations provides, so to speak, the backdrop for the orbits of the sun, moon, and planets. The planets orbit the sun as if on a carousel. Seen from the Earth, it gives the impression that the sun passes through the zodiac during the year. However, from this space perspective and using time-lapse, it quickly becomes clear that the sun stands still and we travel around it. The superimposed axis illustrates our point of view from the Earth towards the zodiac.
Yes, nowadays this is very well known. And astronomers can precisely predict cosmic events down to a tenth of a second. In my day, at the beginning of the 17th century, many things were in upheaval. Views that had been held valid for almost 2,000 years were suddenly questioned.
I can't believe what I am hearing. I prove that the Earth is the center
They were
of the
killed by
universe 340
missionaries.
years before Christ.
all of
The
them.
stars, the
They
sun,
were
and the planets
Copernicus.
rotate around the Earth.
And I confirmed everything and explained it in more detail. My view of the universe with the Earth in the center
They were
is
saying
simply wonderful.
Earth was in
But
the
it was
center. Other
excruciatingly
planets are
complicated. Only after I placed the sun in the center was it possible to answer many questions.
But your projections were nowhere near as accurate as those based on my model.
There's no reason to argue again. We now know what the universe really looks like. The sun is at the center of our solar system, and the planets revolve around the sun, even the Earth. But I must admit that even I, as Copernicus had done, made a mistake my entire life. We believed wrongly that the planets moved along exact orbits around the sun.
See, you owe that to me. I was the first to recognize that the planet's orbits are elliptical. This helped us solve many contradictions between observation and calculation.
Of course, the new view of the universe was not accepted by everyone. I learned this firsthand.
Heretics. The world is exactly as God wanted it and cannot be changed. The Earth is the center of the universe and humans the pinnacle of creation.
Whew. I think I hit a nerve. Although I have to admit, I did provoke them a little bit. I ignored well-intended suggestions from the church and formulated many of my texts too cynically. But look at this. The heliocentric view of the world is now accepted. However, I could not escape my destiny. During an Inquisition trial on June 22nd, 1633, I was forced to renounce my heliocentric teachings. Before I forget, let me use this opportunity to clear something up. The famous sentence, "and yet it still moves," I never said it. Well, at any rate, I was under house arrest in my country home in Arcetri. I was no longer allowed to teach, and was only permitted to conduct harmless research work. In 1638, I became completely blind. However, I feel great today. Being a ghost does have its advantages.
And now, after we have properly arranged all the celestial bodies, we can also see how our world works.
The sun is located at the center of our solar system. All planets, including the Earth and its moon, rotate around it. Our model shows each planet that can be seen with the naked eye. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. The other planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, were discovered after my time, using better telescopes. Oh, where is Pluto?
Pluto was declassified as a planet in August 2006. The International Astronomy Union revoked its planet status 76 years after its discovery. It is listed in the newly created Dwarf Planets category. Back under the night sky. Do you still know where you are? Do you remember where to find the Big Dipper and Orion? Stars, constellations, and even dimmer objects are best seen when the moon is new and the sky is really dark. If the moon is out in the early evening, it is rising. If the moon dominates the second half of the night, it is descending. The planetarium can display the movement of the moon over the course of a day and the development of its phases in time-lapse. The moon transforms from an invisible new moon to a full moon within about 2 weeks. At midnight, it is almost exactly in the south. We now have the sun at our backs. It completely illuminates the moon. Of course, the position of the celestial bodies is easier to understand if we observe them from space. The sun, earth, and moon are in a straight line. From the night side of the earth, you see a full moon. The moon circles the earth in 29.5 days. During this time, it rotates on its own axis. This rotation and the orbit around the Earth take the same amount of time, something that astronomers refer to as synchronous rotation. The result is that we always see the same side of the moon.
other side you
If the
can't
moon
see.
is located between the Earth and the Sun, it becomes invisible, and we refer to it as a new moon.
Tuscany, year after year, the peaceful landscapes and charming cities attract many visitors who are looking for a chance to relax. I still remember those cold January nights in 1610, when using my telescope, which was hopelessly inferior to the cheap opera glasses of today, I discovered the moons of Jupiter. Observing these 4 tiny specks of light and documenting their movement over time filled me with an indescribable feeling. Was this observation not an important pillar of the heliocentric view of the world?
Almost 400 years later, the heliocentric view is widely accepted, and dozens of moons have been discovered around Jupiter. Unmanned space capsules have flown by Jupiter and have delivered breathtaking images. The most exciting mission reached Jupiter in 1995 and is named after you, Galileo.
Oh, how flattering. Thank you.
Galileo orbited and studied the giant planet and its moons for 2 years. Despite the many malfunctions and problems, we expected the first highlight of the mission as soon as the spacecraft arrived at Jupiter. Galileo launched a probe that will precisely examine the atmosphere of the gas giant. The probe descended into Jupiter's interior for about an hour and delivered valuable data before it was crushed by the giant planet. Galileo dedicated special attention to the 4 Galilean moons, Io, Ganymede, Europa, and Callisto in the following years. Callisto has a dirty ice surface that is approximately 200 kilometers thick and covered with craters. A saltwater ocean is suspected below it. One amazing feature, the Asgard Basin, an enormous impact crater with a diameter of over 1,700 kilometers. Largest moon in the solar system. It is even bigger than the planet Mercury. Like Callisto, Ganymede has a hard, icy surface. The darker regions are very old from a geologic point of view and are marked with many meteor impacts. Numerous trenches and fault lines are noticeable in the lighter regions. Europa is the smallest of the 4 Galilean moons, but don't be fooled by its size. Its bright, icy surface is unusually flat, but has many, often puzzling, details. The most noticeable is the many chaotic trenches and grooves whose creation can still not be clearly explained. There may even be a liquid ocean under the surface. This is why many experts believe that Europa could be home to the simplest life forms. Io is the innermost of the 4 large moons. It has more active volcanoes than anywhere else in the entire solar system. There is no ice crust and hardly any water. There are barely any impact craters because its surface is constantly changing. Due to its proximity to Jupiter, it is practically torn apart by the tidal forces. Io's surface rises and falls up to 100 meters each day. Despite Despite many problems and limitations, the Galileo mission was a resounding success. It was extended several times before the probe was steered toward Jupiter on September 21st, 2003, where it burned up in the planet's atmosphere.
The progress of science is indescribable. We would never even have dared to dream of such flying research labs back then. When I observed Saturn in 1610, I couldn't explain exactly what I was looking at. And
Today the unmanned Cassini probe is studying the ringed planet. It reached Saturn in 2004, following a 7-year journey. As with Galileo several years earlier, Cassini is also carrying an additional probe, Huygens, a high-tech device that is intended to land on Titan, one of Saturn's moons. Huygens left Cassini on December 25, 2004, and landed on Titan almost 3 weeks later. It is the only moon in the solar system with a thick atmosphere, which explains why scientists are so interested in its chemical makeup. The Cassini orbiter then began an unparalleled study of Saturn and its rings. The joint project from ESA and NASA will continue until the summer of 2008 and will reveal many secrets from the Lord of the Rings. Saturn is a gas planet with a stormy atmosphere. The gold-yellow stripes on Saturn are created by storms with wind speeds of up to 1,800 kilometers an hour. It is, of course, very well known as a result of its spectacular rings. It is not the only planet with rings, but the rings of Saturn are the most magnificent in the solar system. We have only known that they are not disks since the beginning of the space age. They consist of billions of pieces of rock, which can be as small as a grain of salt or as large as a one-family home. There are hundreds of rings, and they all probably consist of the remnants of destroyed moons, asteroids, and comets. Cassini enabled a breathtaking view of the rings of Saturn and showed details that Earth-based telescopes or early space probes could not provide.
the starlit sky, so calm and peaceful, seemingly unchanging. The fixed star sky remains the same for many years. Even the lifespan of a human is not enough to determine significant changes.
Nonetheless, the universe is very dynamic. Even stars are born, live, and die. However, the human life is nothing more than a breath of time when talking about astronomical life cycles. Stars are unimaginably big gas ovens. Hydrogen is burned in their interiors and turns into helium, causing the stars to shine and emit energy. When the supply of hydrogen is exhausted, the star dies. The demise of very large stars can be very spectacular. In a giant explosion, the supernova, these unimaginable gas balls cease to exist after millions or even billions of years. A supernova can shine brighter than an entire galaxy for a short time. Several supernovas have been observed throughout history. Some of them could even be seen on a bright day. For the remnants of a star, it is possible to measure the forces that are involved. This picture shows the remnants of the supernova Cassiopeia A. The star exploded approximately 300 years ago, and the layers of gas are still expanding at a speed that would take us to the moon in 30 seconds.
As you can see, even the stars do not live forever. although you might get this impression if you looked at the sky night after night. Back at the beginning of the 17th century, it was a major finding for me and science that the weakly glowing band of the Milky Way consisted of single stars.
Yes, most stars are gathered in groups which are known as galaxies. Even our solar system is located in a galaxy, the Milky Way. Every star and every single object that we can see in the sky is part of our galaxy. With the naked eye, it is impossible to see single objects from other galaxies. Every single star that we see is even part of our immediate neighborhood. Under the right conditions, you can see our neighboring galaxy with the naked eye, the Andromeda Galaxy. To find it, go to the prominent W in the sky, the Cassiopeia constellation. The right part of the W points in the direction of a diffuse cloudy spot. It can only be seen on a very clear night in absolute darkness. And this inconspicuous spot in the sky is an enormous galaxy. Billions of stars. Light needs 220,000 years to cross it one time. Despite the incredible distance, the Andromeda Galaxy is part of our cosmic neighborhood. If we want to look really deep into the universe, we need a super telescope, such as the Very Large Telescope from ESO or the Hubble Space Telescope. The Hubble Ultra Deep Field is the farthest view into the universe that has ever been recorded using visible light. It shows thousands of galaxies at an unimaginable distance from the Earth. And it is also a look into the past, as light needs time to cover such distances. A lot of time, sometimes billions of years. Therefore, we see many galaxies as they looked billions of years ago. It is an enormous challenge for the scientists of our time.
And an unbelievable development of telescopes. I'm glad that there have always been intelligent minds who dedicated their efforts to the wonders of the universe. It's good that I was also able to make a contribution with my observations and calculations. What happens next? Will people someday be able to fly to the planets and stars?